deep beneath the Atlantic, beyond where sunlight has ever touched, lies a world locked in permanent silence. A world nobody was meant to see again. The deepest interior of the ship's engine room, once the loudest, brightest, and hottest part of the vessel, is now colder than ice, darker than night, and sealed in absolute stillness. Yet somehow the deepest secrets of this place have survived. Not in photographs, not in stories, but in the reality preserved by pressure, sediment, and time. As the camera enters the massive lower chamber, nothing resembles the chaos that once filled this place. The roaring turbines are silent, the pistons are frozen in mid-motion, the catwalks are bent like softened metal, eaten away by corrosion, and towering over everything is the giant main engine, its steel ribs, gears, and shafts encased in thick layers of rust, coral, and white bacterial growth. It looks less like a machine now and more like the skeleton of a prehistoric creature trapped beneath the sea. Moving deeper into the engine section, the sediments begin to clear, revealing an astonishing sight. The first skeleton lies partially beneath a collapsed walkway, the bones arranged in a peaceful, natural posture. One arm lies across the chest, the other extended toward the engine controls. Mineral growth coats the ribs, pelvis, and skull in soft coral-like patterns. This person wasn't just working here. They were trying to escape, control, or survive something in their final moments. Near the skeleton rests a toolbox, its wooden structure long gone, but the metal tools inside are fused together in thick columns of rust. Wrenches, large bolts, and heavy spanners are all trapped in mineral stone. Their shapes remain crystal clear, their details preserved by the ocean. The camera drifts around the turbine housing, revealing more secrets hidden in the machinery. A pair of heavy work boots lies against the engine block. The soles are gone, but the metal toe plates are perfectly preserved. Coral has grown through the eyelets where laces once threaded. Beside them lies another skeleton, sitting naturally against a curved pipe, legs stretched forward, head resting on its shoulder. It looks less like a corpse, and more like someone who simply stopped to rest, never knowing that the ocean would turn their final posture into an eternal monument. Further in, an unbelievable discovery emerges. The engine room's cargo platform still holds one of the small vehicles that was being transported. The car's steel frame has survived, coated in barnacles and mineral crust. The wheels remain attached. The steering column is bent but intact. The headlight housings still hold rusted rings. The entire car looks like an artifact from a lost civilization. The ocean didn't destroy it. It preserved it in a way no museum could ever replicate. Behind this car frame lies an even more haunting detail. A skeleton sits in the vehicle's front seat, slumped naturally behind the wheel. The bones are fused to the metal by coral deposits. It is impossible to know if the person climbed inside for safety or was thrown there by the chaos, but the image is unforgettable. A ghostly fossil of a moment no one witnessed, preserved perfectly by the deep. The camera continues through the engine room, passing enormous boilers that stretch toward the darkness above. Some of their rivet lines are still visible beneath layers of mineral crust. Pipes run along the ceiling like rusted veins. Entire mechanisms are fused together by coral colonies that glow faintly in the camera's light. Everywhere, sediment drifts like underwater dust. Past the boilers is another section where pressure has torn apart machinery and walls. Here, a large metal storage cage lies collapsed. Inside it, remarkably preserved, are crates that once held heavy equipment. Their wooden panels are dissolved, leaving only their metal frames. Beneath one crate lies a skeleton, naturally positioned on its side. The bones are coated in white bacterial layers and soft rust. The person may have tried to shield themselves behind the crates, hoping for safety. Deeper still, the camera enters the auxiliary machinery room, a place that once held pumps, generators and power regulators. Many of the machines are unrecognizable, shaped by rust into bizarre new forms. Thick coral mounds rise from the machinery like frozen eruptions. On the floor lies a scattered collection of metal items: melted valve wheels, detached engine bolts, hardened rope fittings, and several large gears fused together into beautiful mineral sculptures. A skeleton sits against one of the rust-covered pumps, legs extended, arms resting gently on the silt. Coral has grown around the spine like a natural support, lifting the torso slightly upward. What is striking is the calmness of the posture. No violence, no chaos. Just the stillness of someone who waited, hoping the nightmare would pass, unaware that the deepest ocean would become their resting place for more than a century. Moving into the far side of the engine room, the camera reveals another astonishing area, the small vehicle cargo ramp. Here several metal frames are fused to the floor. These are remnants of additional vehicles, cars or transport carts that were being shipped. Their shapes remain identifiable: curved fenders, wheel housings, steering rods, all covered in coral. The ocean has sculpted them into ghostly versions of themselves. At the bottom of the ramp, a skeleton lies half buried in silt. One arm stretches toward the ramp's edge, the other rests across the chest. Coral threads wrap the bones softly, and the skull is tilted upward as though the person looked toward the upper decks in their final moment. A little farther on, another car frame sits tipped on its side. The doors are missing, but the steel skeleton of the vehicle remains. Barnacles cover the wheel spokes. Mineral blooms fill the interior. Inside the rear seat area lies a small collection of heavy personal items that someone once stored. Metal clasps, belt buckles, and a fused cluster of accessories that appear to be personal tools. Everything is hardened in place, the silt forming a natural display shelf around it. Now the camera glides toward one of the most dramatic areas of the entire engine compartment, the auxiliary control station. The room is semi-collapsed, with long metal beams cutting diagonally through the space. The machinery here is preserved in extreme detail. Rust-coated valves, wheels frozen in place, thick layers of coral draped over the control panels. On one panel rests a skeleton, with its hand still near a lever, as if frozen in the act of trying to stabilize the ship. The bones are coated in mineral crystals, reflecting faint glimmers in the darkness. Behind this control station lies an array of massive gears, almost artistic in their arrangement. Coral formations have grown through the gear teeth, creating a sculptural pattern that looks deliberate, even though it isn't. A large wrench lies fused to one of the gears encased in coral. This was once a place of work, sweat, heat, and movement. Now it is colder, quieter, and more peaceful than any human space has ever been. As the camera moves toward the base of the catwalks, more skeletons appear in natural positions, some sitting against the walls, some laying flat, some resting near the machinery they once operated. None look staged, none look artificial. They look frozen in the positions where exhaustion, panic, or resignation found them. The deep ocean did not scatter them, it preserved them, silt settling slowly over the bones like blankets of grey snow. Near the lowest machinery section lies another breathtaking discovery. A set of thick, mineralized uniforms, shapes preserved by corrosion. The fabric is long gone, but the outlines of heavy work jackets and boots remain. They hang from metal hooks on the wall, fossil-like, coated in coral. Beneath them, a skeleton sits with its back against the wall, head tilted downward, hands resting naturally on the floor. Finally, the camera enters the deepest part of the engine room, where the pressure is strongest and the darkness most complete. Here, at the very bottom, lies a massive collection of tools, gears, metal rods, and collapsed support beams. Among them is one last car frame, crushed under a fallen section of catwalk. The wheels have collapsed, but the body remains. Mineral clusters glow faintly along its edges. Beside the crushed vehicle, one final skeleton rests. The bones are clean, white, and covered in coral filaments. Sediment drifts lightly across them. The posture is quiet, natural, peaceful. As the camera begins to pull back, the full magnitude of this world becomes clear. The engine room is no longer a place of motion or noise. It is a deep-sea museum of human struggle, mechanical power, and frozen history. Cars transformed into coral sculptures, machinery reshaped by rust into towering monuments, skeletons resting in their final, untouched positions, silent witnesses of a night the world will never forget. What remains here is not just metal or bones. It is a story preserved by darkness, pressure, and time. A story that no one expected to see again. A story hidden in the heart of the engine room, and now finally revealed.